These are the X-Raypad Obsidian Pro Air Series skates, an updated version of the Obsidian Pro skates. Now this Air version updates and improves the Obsidian Pros by adding a layer of foam between the skate and its base adhesive, which helps to reduce not only the level of physical feedback you'll feel through the skates, it also heavily reduces the skate's audio feedback, making these Air versions much quieter than the standard Obsidian Pro skates. On top of the added foam layer, the Obsidian Pro Air skates also come in an extra shape, being available in the same dot shape as the previous version and a larger surface area donut skate, which offer an even more controlled experience when used on hard pads. So in today's video, we're going to break down all the unique traits of the X-Raypad Obsidian Pro Air Series skates and talk more in depth about both versions' performance profiles, the added foam layer and its effects, their pad compatibility, level of audio feedback, and much more. But before we get into it, if you enjoy the video and want to see more product breakdown videos like this one, be sure to leave a like on this video and get subscribed. And if you'd like to learn more about the Obsidian Pro Air Series skates or pick up a set for yourself, you can find their product links linked down in the video description. In terms of pricing and unboxing, the Obsidian Pro Air Series skates retail for $15 USD or $11.99 USD if you purchase them directly from X-Raypad's website. And as I just mentioned, the Pro Air Series skates come in both donut and dot versions, and the dot set will include 40 dot skates, 2 alcohol wipes, and 2 adhesive removal wipes, while the donut versions include 32 donut skates, 2 alcohol wipes, and 2 adhesive removal wipes. Now, as of recording this video, there are no full-size Obsidian Pro Air skates available, but if they do release in the future, they'll include 2 sets of full-size skates and the aforementioned 2 alcohol wipes and 2 adhesive removal wipes. And it's also worth noting that depending on what batch of the Obsidian Pro Air skates you get, your skates might also include a small plastic removal tool, but this is only included on the more recent batches. Now, to install the Obsidian Pro Air Series skates, you can use the same process we use to install X-Raypad's other dot and donut skates, and due to their material, they are decently reusable, so if you need to adjust the skate's position during installation, you can do so. But regardless of their more reusable nature, we still recommend referencing the official X-Raypad skate installation guide before installing either versions of the Obsidian Pro Air skates, as this guide will show you how to properly remove your old skates and remove any adhesive or other debris left behind by them, as well as how to properly install and position the full-size donut and dot versions of all of X-Raypad skate types. If you'd like to check out that video, you can find the link to our official installation guide down in the video description. Next, let's talk about dimensions and shaping. Now, due to the added layer of foam, the Obsidian Pro Air Series skates dimensions are slightly altered compared to their non-Air counterparts. Firstly, the Air Pro dots have the same 6.5mm diameter as the non-Air versions, but the added foam layer makes them slightly taller, measuring approximately 0.93mm tall. And the Air Pro donuts also have the same 9.5mm diameter as their non-Air counterparts in the form of the Jade and the Obsidian donuts, but the added foam layer also makes the skate taller, measuring approximately 0.93mm tall. And since they are donuts, just like all the other versions of X-Raypad donut skates, these also have the same removable central dot skate, which measures approximately 4.3mm by 0.7mm. However, it's important to note that since the added height here on these skates is caused by a foam layer, which of course can be compressed, the skate's height can shrink down when pressure is applied to them, shrinking the skate's total height from 0.93mm to approximately 0.82mm when the foam is completely compressed. So keep in mind that depending on how much pressure is applied to the Pro Air Series skates, their height will be variable, ranging anywhere from 0.93 to 0.82mm. And in terms of shaping, the Air Pro dots are the exact same shape as the non-Pro dots, having a cylindrical shape with a slightly rounded top, and the Air Pro donuts also have the same shaping as X-Raypad's other donut skates, having the same taller, thicker outer ring skate with a rounded inner and outer edge, and the smaller removable central dot skate which I just talked about, which has a sharp 90-degree edge to it. And just like the other dot and donut versions of X-Raypad skates, the Pro Air dots are the most universal in terms of mousepad compatibility, as their 6.5mm diameter makes them compatible with almost every mouse on the market, and the Air Pro donuts are semi-universal as they're compatible with mice with larger skate cutouts. However, some mice with thinner skate cutouts can't accommodate the 9.5mm diameter of the Air Pro donuts, so if you're considering the Air Pro donuts or any other version of X-Raypad's donut skates, be sure to measure your mouse's skate cutout to make sure they're at least 9.5mm or wider to ensure compatibility. And in terms of skate material, just like the Obsidian Pro skates, the Obsidian Pro Airs are made out of the same ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, or uhmw-pe for short. Now, this material has a variety of unique traits, but most notably, the material has a very high molecular weight, which not only gives these skates their unique friction coefficients, but it also gives them a high degree of abrasion resistance. This makes these skates extremely durable, even when used on more abrasive pads like glass, and as such, the Obsidian Pro Air skates have the second longest lifespan rating out of all of X-Raypad skates, the only higher rated skate being the meteorite skates, but those can't be used on glass due to their glass material. Another unique aspect to this uhmw-pe material is that despite its high density nature, it is a relatively low friction material. Higher friction than PTFE or hardened PTFE, but not to such degree where they feel sticky, so to speak, on hard pads like other high friction material skates do. This allows the Obsidian Pro Air Series skates to have a smooth but controlled glide, which does significantly cut down on the speed offered by many hard pad types, making them feel more balanced and controllable. However, one big downside to this uhmw-pe material, just like we saw in the Obsidian Pro dots, is that the high density material makes the skates very loud when used on hard pads, but since these air versions have the added layer of foam between the skate and the base adhesive, these air versions not only significantly quieter, they're also smoother than their non-air counterparts. The improvement in physical and audio feedback here is arguably the biggest improvement over the previous Obsidian Pro versions. As well, those skates performed great, they were a little too loud on some pad types to be usable. Now, in terms of this foam layer that's been added to the Obsidian Pro Air skates, just like all the other air versions of X-Raypad skates, this added layer of foam is made of a special foam called soft microporous polyurethane foam, or SMPF for short, and we've seen the same foam used on the Jade Air and Obsidian Air series skates. Now, as I mentioned in those videos, this foam acts as a buffering layer, so to speak, between the skate itself and the mouse's frame, helping to absorb and reduce the amount of friction that travels from the mouse's skates into the mouse's frame. This foam layer not only significantly reduces the friction that you'll feel physically from a pad's surface, but it also drastically lowers the level of audio feedback from the skates, as there is a lower degree of friction traveling into the mouse's frame. Now, before I talk about the Obsidian Pro Air's pad compatibility, I wanted to quickly discuss their working period, as just like the Obsidian Air series skates and the regular Obsidian Pro skates, the Obsidian Air Pros need to be worked in prior to use on hard pads. Now, there are two ways to work in these skates. You can either simply use the skates on your preferred hard pad and they'll naturally work in over time, or you can manually work them in. Now, most users will simply let the skates work themselves in naturally, but during this process they will feel a little inconsistent, and as such we recommend manually working in the skates before use to ensure a consistent performance profile. You can do this by taking your fresh Obsidian Pro Air skates and the hard pad you'll be using them on, and while pressing the mouse firmly downwards into the pad, make a fast figure 8 motion for approximately 20 to 30 seconds. This will fully break in the skates quote unquote to your hard pad surface, making them slightly smoother, quieter, and more consistent in terms of their frictions. Alright, now that we've talked about the Obsidian Pro Air's working period, let's talk about their pad compatibility. Now, due to their uhmw-pe material and unique friction coefficients, as I mentioned several times in this video already, the Obsidian Pro Air skates are hard pad optimized skates, but unlike the Obsidian and Obsidian Air series skates, which are reusable on both hard and soft pads, using the Obsidian Pro Air series skates on soft pads is not recommended, just like it wasn't on the Obsidian Pro skates. This is because the skates' uhmw-pe material's friction coefficients, while falling into the balance control category on most hard pads, jump to the extreme control category when used on fabric pads, having an insanely high degree of friction, specifically initial friction, that makes them feel sticky for lack of a better word, and makes them very inconsistent in terms of performance when used on soft pads. Therefore, just like the Obsidian Pro skates, we recommend only using the Obsidian Pro Air series skates on hard pads such as glass, ceramic, and metal, as this is their optimized use case, but depending on their shape, their hard pad compatibility and performance might vary slightly, so let's talk about that next. And in terms of performance profile, as I just mentioned, the Obsidian Pro Air series skates, due to their unique material and friction coefficients, generally have a more balanced control performance profile when used on hard pads, but just like all of X-Raypad's other skates, their performance value will alter slightly depending on the skate's shaping and how many skates are used, and of course the pad type they're used on. Now, the Air Pro Dot skates, due to their smaller surface area, fall into the balance control performance profile, as their material does provide a good range of control, but their smaller surface area prevents them from feeling too controlled, making the Pro Air Dots well suited for all hard pad types regardless of their respective performance profiles. On the other hand, the Air Pro Donuts, since they have a much larger surface area than the Dots, fall into the more controlled performance profile, as their larger surface area provides more friction than the Dots do, and as such these skates can feel arguably a little too controlled on some more control-focused hard pad types, and as such we recommend using the Pro Air Donuts on speed or balanced performance profile hard pads, not control-focused ones. But across the board, even when used on faster speed-optimized hard pads such as the Wallhack 3.0, all versions of the Obsidian Air Pro series skates are significantly more controlled than their Jade or Obsidian Air counterparts. It's also worth noting that just like the other Air series skates, the Obsidian Pro Airs are slightly more controlled than their non-Air counterparts, and while the difference between the two versions is extremely minimal, I still wanted to mention this slight difference to be thorough. Now, due to the Air Pro's uhmw-pe material, both versions of these skates are designed to counteract the speed offered by many hard pads, making them feel more balanced or controllable, which makes these skates ideal for not only static and flicking aiming, but also dynamic and tracking aiming. So both the Air Pro Dots and Donuts are ideal for static flicking oriented games such as Valorant, Counter-Strike 2, and Rainbow Six Siege, as well as more tracking and dynamic oriented games such as Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, COD, Battlefield, and Marvel Rivals. And as I mentioned earlier, due to their unique material, all versions of the Obsidian Pro Air series skates are extremely durable and will outlast every other X-Raypad skate type when used on hard pads, even the Obsidian series skates. So over long-term use, the Obsidian Pro Air series skates performance profile will remain consistent, unlike other softer material skates whose performance profile will degrade as the skates are physically worn down by a hard pad surface. Alright, and lastly in terms of reusability, as I mentioned earlier, the Obsidian Pro Air series skates maintain the same degree of high reusability as the original Obsidian Pros, so it's very easy to adjust their position during installation or move the skates from one mouse to another, which is a great attention to detail given the skate's long lifespan, and allows for a lot of flexibility in terms of reuse and installation here on the Obsidian Air Pro series skates. Alright, and with that, that is everything you need to know about the X-Raypad Obsidian Pro Air series skates. If you were a fan of the original Obsidian Pros but found them to be not controlled enough or disliked their extreme level of auto feedback, the Obsidian Pro Air series skates are the perfect upgrade as they're not only significantly quieter, they're also physically smoother due to the added SMPF foam layer, and they come in both dot and donut versions, so if you found that the dots weren't controlled enough, you can use the donuts to add even more control to your hard pad. Just make sure you work in the skates before use, and keep in mind that these skates are designed only for hard pads. We do not recommend using either the original Obsidian Pros or the Obsidian Pro Air series skates on fabric pads. But if you'd like to learn more about the X-Raypad Obsidian Pro Air series skates or pick up a set for yourself, you can find their product pages linked down in the video description. And if you have any specific questions about the Obsidian Pro Air series skates that we didn't cover in this video, feel free to leave your questions down in the comments and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. But that's all for today. Thank you for watching and thank you for choosing X-Raypad. Cheers.